Bezos Hashem Yisborach, Rambam, one chapter a day. For today, Ches Tishrei, Tavshin Ayin Ches. Today we learn the second half of the Hakdama, the introduction of the Rambam to Mishneh Torah. Halacha Chaf Aleph. Yesterday, in the first half of the introduction, the Rambam explained the chain of the Misorah, the tradition of the Torah from Moshe receiving it at Har Sinai from Hashem, all the way down to Ravina and Rav Ashi, who compiled the Babylonian Talmud. Today, in the second half of the Hakdama, the Rambam is going to explain to us how the Torah was interpreted and passed on in the generations from the sealing of the Talmud up until the time when he writes the Mishneh Torah, and what is his purpose in compiling this book called Mishneh Torah. Halacha Chaf Aleph. Kol elu hachacham nizkarim hem gdolei hadoros. Behem roshi yeshivas v'hem roshi golios v'hem sanhedrin gdola v'imayim b'chol dor v'dor alafi ravav sheshamu mehem v'imayim. All of the chachamim which I listed in yesterday's shiur, they are all the greatest ones of their generations. Some of them were heads of yeshivas. Some of them were heads of the galut, in other words, leaders of the Jewish people in the exile. Some of them were from the great Sanhedrin, and together with them in every generation were not just the ones that I listed, but were also thousands and tens of thousands of other great scholars who studied from them and with them. Halacha Chav Beis. Ravina v'Rav Ashi hemsoif chachmei Talmud. Ravina and Rav Ashi were the last ones, the end of the Talmudic period. V'Rav Ashi hu shechiber Talmud habavli be'eretz Shinar. Rav Ashi is the one who compiled the Babylonian Talmud in the land of Shinar, which is the land of Babylon. Achar shechiber Rabbi Yochanan Talmud Yerushalayim v'kamoi mea shana. He compiled the Babylonian Talmud approximately 100 years after Rabbi Yochanan compiled the Jerusalem Talmud, which means about 400 years after the destruction of the temple. Halacha Chav Gimel. Ve'inyan shtei ha-Talmudim hu perush divrei ha-Mishnah obir amukoiseha. The subject matter of both of the Talmuds, the Jerusalem and the Babylonian, is to explain and elucidate the words of the Mishnah and the depths of the Mishnah. Also, the Babylonian and Jerusalem Talmuds, their job is to record new chidushim, new halachot that were learned out by each and every Beis Din from the time of Rabbeinu HaKodesh, who wrote the Mishnah, until the sealing of the Talmud. Ushnei ha-Talmudin u'min ha-Tosefta u'mishnei ha-Talmudim u'min ha-Tosefta u'misifra u'misifrei u'min Tosefta u'mekulam izbar ha'asr v'amutar v'atam v'atar v'achai v'apotor v'akosher v'aposol k'moshe ha'takti k'moshe ha'tiku ish v'pi ish v'pi Moshe b'Sinai. And from all of the works of the two Talmuds, together with the Tosefta, the Sifra, the Sifri, and the Toseftos, from all of these works of Chazal, we can learn what is prohibited and what is permitted, what is Tameh and what is Tahor, who is Chayav, that is to say, exempt, obligated, and Patur, who is exempt, what is kosher and what is invalid. As they have learned it and passed it on, one generation to the other, all the way going back to the time of Moshe at Har Sinai. Halacha Chav Dalet. Gam yisba'er mehem dvarim shegazru chacham nevim shevachol dor v'dor la'asoi siag l'Torah. In addition to the traditions that go back to Har Sinai, we can learn from all of these works of Chazal different decrees and fences that they made around the Torah in order to make a fence to the Torah, that is to say, to keep one far away from transgressing the Torah prohibitions. K'moshe shamu Moshe beferush, as Moshe taught us explicitly, Ushemartem et mishmarti, you shall guard my guarding. What does it mean, you shall guard my guarding? Shenemar, it says in the Talmud, Asu mishmeret lemishmarti, that this means that you need to make protections to my guarding. That is to say, you need to make zerot and takanot, different decrees and enactments that keep one far away from transgressing the prohibitions of the Torah. And this is something that the rabbis and the chachamim did in every generation. And the Talmuds, they record as well all of these enactments and decrees. The Talmuds and the works of Chazal also explain and record all of the customs and the enactments and the decrees that were decreed or that were enacted in each and every generation according to how the different Batei Din saw fit in each generation. Lefisha Asr Lasr Mehem, because once these things are enacted, we are prohibited to change from them or to divulge from them. Shenemar, as it's written in the Torah, Leisasar Mechol Hadavar Asher Yagidu Lecha Yamin Usmal. You shall not turn aside from all of that which they shall teach you, neither to the right nor to the left. Halacha Chaf He. V'chen mishpatim v'dinim pelim sheloi kiblu oisam Moshe. Also, the works of Chazal record all of the rules and the halachot which are difficult to understand, which we did not receive their interpretations directly from Moshe. V'danu b'hen based in hagadol shel oisah hador b'midush haTorah nidreshes ben. But rather, in each generation, the different Batei Din, the different rabbinical courts, studied the Torah and managed to understand from the Torah the details of these different halachot and different commandments of the Torah. V'pasko oisan azkenim, and the elders of each generation ruled on these things. V'gamru, and they came to a decision, sha'adin kachu, that this is the law. Hakol chiber Rav Ashi b'Talmud. Rav Ashi recorded all of these things in the Talmud, in the Babylonian Talmud, Miyamos Moshe Ad Yamav, everything that had been transmitted and innovated from the time of Moshe until his times. Halacha Chav Vav. V'chibru Chachme Mishnah Chiburin Acherim L'farish Divrei Torah. The same sages who compiled the Mishnah also wrote other works to explain the words of the Torah. For example, Rabbi Hoshaya, Talmidei Rabbeinu HaKodesh Chibur Be'er Sefer Bereshis. Rabbi Hoshaya, the student of Rabbeinu HaKodesh, compiled an explanation of Sefer Bereshis. Rabbi Yishmael Peresh Me'el Shmois Ad Sefer Torah. Rabbi Yishmael explained from the beginning of the book of Shmos until the end of the Torah. V'hu Nikra Mechilta, and this is referred to as the Mechilta. Rabbi Akiva Chibur Mechilta. Rabbi Akiva also compiled a Mechilta. And other sages after them also compiled works of Midrash. All of these works of Chazal were compiled before the sealing of the Babylonian Talmud. Halacha Chav Zayin. Nimtza, it comes out that Ravina v'Rav Ashi v'Chavreim soif gdolei Chachmei Yisrael ha'matigim Torah sheba'al peh. It comes out that Ravina and Rav Ashi are the last of the great sages of Israel who compiled and wrote down the Torah sheba'al peh, v'gazru gzeros, and enacted decrees, v'tkinu takanos, and invented takanot, another word for decrees, v'nhigu minhagos, and implemented customs. Ufashtu gzeroisam v'takanosam minhagasam b'chol Yisrael b'chol mekoymes moshreisehem, and the decrees and the rulings and the customs of Ravina and Rav Ashi in the Babylonian Talmud spread among all of Israel in every place where the people of Israel dwell all over the exile. Halacha Chav Ches, v'achar beis dino shel Rav Ashi, and after the beis din of Rav Ashi, shechiber haTalmud v'yamei benoi u'gemaroi, who compiled the Babylonian Talmud and completed it in the days of his son, Nispazru Yisrael b'chol ha'artzos pizur yoser. The people of Israel were exiled and spread out into all of the lands of the world, much more than ever before. Ve'giu l'ksavos v'li'im ha'rechokim, and the Jewish people found themselves on the corners of the earth in the farthest flung islands. V'rabas katata v'olam, and much conflict was increased in the world. V'nishtabshu hadrachim b'gayasos, V'nisma Talmud Torah, and the ways were confused, and the study of the Torah became decreased. V'loi niskansu Yisrael lilmod b'yeshivoseim alafim ravavis k'moi shehayu mikoydam. And no longer did the people of Israel gather themselves in yeshivas in thousands and tens of thousands to study the Torah as they had previously. Halacha Chavtes. Ela miskabsim yechidim hasridim asher Hashem koire b'chol ir v'ir b'chol medina. Rather, what began to happen is that in every city and in every country there were individuals who were called by God to gather themselves and v'oiskim b'Torah, and to involve themselves in the study of Torah, u'mevinim b'chiburei hachachamim kulam, and to delve and understand into the works of all of the chachamim of all the generations, v'yoidim mehem derech hamishpat hayachu, and they were able to know, based on all of the works of Chazal, what is the path of justice and how to rule in the law. Halacha Lamed. V'chol beis din she'amad achar haTalmud b'chol medina medina. Every beis din that came up after the Talmud, and each and every country, v'gazer oy hiskin oy hinhig livnei medinosa ilivnei medinois, and they decreed, or they enacted, or they taught to the people of their country, or to the people of many countries, lepashtu masa b'chol Yisrael. The rulings and the teachings of these rabbis in individual countries never spread to all Jews in all countries after the sealing of the Talmud. Because Jewish people were living so far away from one another, and different communities spread across the face of the earth, and the paths to get to these different communities were no longer wide open after the, seemingly he's referring to after the fall of the Roman Empire. And also because the beis din of any individual country is no longer the majority of the sages of Israel, but rather they are individuals from a particular part of the Jewish rule. And therefore, the enactments that they enact in an individual country are not obligatory upon Jews all over the world. And already, several years before the compiling of the Talmud, the Sanhedrin of 70 rabbis was already no longer in existence. Halacha Lamed Aleph. Therefore, after the sealing of the Talmud, the Rambam is saying, we no longer are able to force Jewish people from any country to follow the customs or the rulings of the Jewish people from another country. We don't force a beis din in one country to follow or to enact the enactments that a beis din in a different country enacted. Therefore, if one of the Goanim, one of the great leaders of the Jewish people, the great sages, understood and felt that such and such is the way to rule in a matter, and then came another beis din in a different time, in a different place, and read the Talmud and concluded that they disagree with that Gaon's interpretation, and rather they feel that they have a better interpretation, they don't have to listen to the one who came before them, but rather they have the right to delve into the matters themselves and to rule according to how their understanding leans. Bein Rishon, Bein Achrein, they can follow earlier authorities or latter authorities as long as they can fit it into the Talmud, which is the only thing the Rambam says which is obligatory equally upon all Jews in all times and all places are the rulings of the Talmud. Lamed Bet. Udvarim halalo, these matters, all of the laws and the enactments and the decrees and the customs that were implemented and that were innovated after the sealing of the Talmud. In regard to these things, it's true that we don't have to follow the rulings of sages from individual countries and individual times. But all things which are in the Babylonian Talmud, All of the people of Israel, all of the house of Israel, are equally obligated to follow the rulings of the Talmud. And the courts have to force every city and every country, in other words, the Jewish people in every city and every country, to follow all of the customs and all of the rulings, to follow their enactments and to go in the way of the decrees of the Talmud. So in other words, what the Rambam is saying is, everything which is in the Talmud is obligatory upon all of the Jewish people all over the world. All of the rulings of different sages after the sealing of the Talmud are obligatory upon the Jews of the country where that sage was a leader, and they are not necessarily obligatory upon Jews from other parts of the world who have their own rabbis who may rule differently. Lamed Gimel. The reason is because everything in the Talmud was agreed upon by all the Jewish people all over the world. The Talmud was accepted by all Jews. And when we have a ruling in the Talmud, it's because that is the sum total of all of the sages of Israel, or the majority of the sages of Israel who ruled a certain way, and it was recorded that way in the Talmud. And these are the people who received the tradition in the ways of Torah, Kula ish mepi ish ad Moshe, generation after generation, teacher to student, all the way back to Moshe. Halacha lamed daled. Kol hachachamim she'amdu achar chibur Talmud ubono boy v'yotza lehem shem v'chachmasa hem hanikraim go'enim. All of the sages who came after the sealing of the Talmud, and they delved into it, and it came out for them a name as Chachamim. In other words, their name spread across the world as being Chachamim. We refer to all of these latter sages as Gaonim. Of course, today, after the Gaonim, we have the Rishonim and the Achronim and others, but at the time of the Rambam, all the people between the time of the Talmud and the Rambam were referred to as Gaonim. V'chol elo Gaonim she'amdu be'eretz Yisrael, be'eretz Shinar, u'b'Sfarad, u'b'Tzarfat, lamdu derech ha'Talmud v'tziu l'Urtal u'moisav u'beru inyanav. All of these Gaonim, whether they lived in the land of Israel, or in the land of Babylon, or in Spain, or in France, they studied the ways of the Talmud, and they deciphered its hidden things, and explained all of its matters, because the way of the Talmud is very deep and difficult. Furthermore, besides that the logic of the Talmud is very difficult to understand, it's also written in Aramaic mixed with other languages, which is something which is very hard for people to understand, and very few people know how to study it. So the Rambam says that the reason why they wrote it in this Aramaic mixed with other languages is because that was the language which was spoken in Babylon at the time of the Talmud. But in other parts of the world where they spoke Aramaic, and even in the land of Shinar, in later generations at the time of the Goenim, people no longer spoke in the way of the Talmud, and they had to be taught specially how to study the Talmud and how to understand the language of the Talmud. Halacha lamed hey. In every generation, people of every city asked many questions to the Gaon that would be in their time and in their place, asking them to explain to them difficult matters of the Talmud. And they would send them answers according to their wisdom. And the people who would ask the questions would gather together all the answers that they got from the Gaonim, and they would publish books of responsa, of the answers that they got from the Gaon of their time. Also the Gaonim, and every generation, compiled works to explain the Talmud. Mehem Misha Perish Hilchas Yechilas. There were some Go'anim who explained just a few halachas. Umehem Sheperish Parakim Yechidim. There were some Go'anim who explained entire chapters of the Talmud. Umehem Misha Perish Mesechtos Ustorim. And there were also Go'anim who wrote commentaries on entire tractates of the Talmud or entire orders of the Talmud. Lamed Zayin. V'oid chibru halachas psukais b'inin ha'aser v'amuter v'achai v'apater b'dvarim ha'sha'at tzricha lehen. Furthermore, they compiled works of halachas, halachas psukais, which means practical halachas, in matters of the prohibited and the permitted, the obligated and the exempt, and all matters that people needed in order to follow the halacha. To make it easier for those people who did not have the ability to delve into the depths of the Talmud. This is the godly work that the Go'anim of the people of Israel did in every generation from the time of the sealing of the Talmud until our time. That this is today, says the Rambam, the 8th year after 1,100 years from the Khurban. In other words, 1,108 years from the destruction of the temple, says the Rambam. In this halacha, the Rambam is now going to explain to us why he decided to write the Mishneh Torah, halacha lamed tes. And therefore, I, Moshe, the son of Rabbi Maimon, the Spanish one, from Spain, I decided to get to work. V'nishanti alatzur baruchu, and I put my trust, or I leaned upon God, blessed be He, ubinoisi, and I also leaned and put my trust in my own understanding, b'chol elu hasfarim, and all of these works that I mentioned, in other words, all the works of Chazal and the Go'anim, v're'isi l'chaber dvarim hamizbarim mikol elu hachiburim, and I decided to compile the things which are deduced from all of these works, be'inyan ha'asar va'amutar va'atamei va'atar, in regards to that which is prohibited and permitted, and that which is impure and pure, imshar dinei Torah kulan, together with all of the other laws of the Torah, b'loshon berura v'derech sara, I decide to compile it in clear language and in simple and short words. Ad shetei Torah sheba'al peh kula s'dura b'fi hakol, until the oral Torah, the Torah sheba'al peh, will be able to be understood by everybody, or he says Zura b'fi kol, the people should have it, so to speak, on the tip of their tongues. V'loi kushya, v'loi peruk, without questions and without arguments. V'loi zeh oimer b'choy, v'zeh oimer b'choy, without one saying this is the law and someone else saying that is the law. Eledvarim brurim, to make everything clear. Kroivim, simple. Nechonim, al pi hamishpat asher yisbar, and correct according to the way that I will explain, Mikol Elu Achiburim, from all of these different books, Vapirushim and commentaries, and Nimtzayim Yemois Rabbeinu HaKadosh Ad Achshav, that were written from the time of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi until now. Halacha Men. Ad Shiu Kol Hadinim Gluyim Lekatan Legadol Bedin Kol Mitzvah Mitzvah Bedin Kol Advarim Shetinu Chacham Nevinim. I want to explain it until all of the laws, all of the halachas will be revealed to a child or to an adult, to a small person or a big person. The laws of every mitzvah and every law of everything which the chachamim and the prophets enacted and taught. Kol shel davar, the general rule of my endeavor is that one should no longer need any other work of laws of the people of Israel. I want this work, the Mishneh Torah, to collect in it all of the laws of the oral Torah. together with all the decrees and enactments, and the ruling, everything that was enacted from the time of Moshe Rabbeinu until the sealing of the Talmud. According to how the Goinim explained in all of their books that were written after the Talmud. Therefore, Karasi Shem Chibur Zeh Mishneh Torah. That's why I have named this book Mishneh Torah, which means the second Torah, or second to the Torah. Because my goal is that one should read the written Torah, in other words, the Tanakh, and then study this book, and he will now know all of the oral Torah, without the necessity to study the Talmud or any other book between studying the Tanakh and studying this book, and now he will have in his hands all of the things that he needs to know from the oral Torah. Mem Aleph, and I have decided, I see it fit, to organize this book into groups of halachos according to their subject matter. And I will gather them into chapters, or divide them into chapters according to subject matter. The kol perek uferek achalek oisan oisay lehalachas katanos, and then every chapter I will divide into individual halachas, kedei sheyu sedurin al peh, in order that it should be easy for people to study it and remember it. Halacha mem beis. Elo halacha shebechol inyan ve'inyan. Yesh mem halacha shehen mishpatei mitzvah achas bilvad. Vehi hamitzvah sheish ba divrei kabbalah harbe vehinim b'fnei atzmai. When I divide the halachas into categories, there are some types of halachas that they basically are explaining one particular mitzvah that has a lot of commentary and a lot of oral traditions on it, and therefore I will make that into a subject matter of its own. And then there will be some groups of halachas that contain many mitzvahs from the Torah, but they are in a similar theme, and I will gather them together under the same heading. If they are part of the same theme. Because the novelty of this work is that it goes according to subject matter, and it's organized hierarchically according to subject matter. It's not organized according to the order of the way the mitzvahs are in the Torah, like anyone who reads it will certainly see. Halacha mem gimel. And the total number of all of the commandments of the Torah, which are obligatory for all generations, are 613 mitzvahs. Mehen mitzvahs aseh, from among them, the positive commandments are Masayim Shmoinav Arbaim, 248, Siman Lehem Minyan Evarav Shel Adam, which corresponds to the number of limbs in a person, 248 limbs, Ramach Evarim. Umehen Mitzvahs Leis Aseh, and there are also the negative commandments, Shlosh Meis Chomesh Veshishim, which are 365 positive commandments, Siman Lehem Minyan Yemois Chama, which the siman to remember them is the days of the solar year. With that, we conclude the Rambam for Ches Tishrei, one chapter a day.